Hey everybody, James Spring again with EFI. I wanted to share, if you haven't already gotten this, I wanted to share this on my YouTube page for everyone. Fiery controllers, we are announcing a new platform called FS500 and it is phenomenal. The stuff that we have done in FS500 just blows my mind. There's a lot of stuff in FS500, and instead of boring somebody, I kind of broke it down in two parts, and that is, what's new, brand new in SF500 that you've never seen before, never heard of, and then some features that we've always had that we've enhanced in some way or another. We're always going to break down our new and improved features by innovation pillars. So we always focus in the areas of color and imaging, productivity, management, and connection. So these these new features and improved features I'm going to talk about fall in one of these four categories. So right off the bat, here's what's new. Unbelievable, excited about this. We now have SSD drives. This is something we've been looking at for several years now. There were a lot of contributing factors that kept us from doing it up until now, but we have got all the research, we've got all the statistical data. The SSD drives are going to provide huge value going forward, and I'm going to talk about those briefly. We have new in FS500 is a new feature called Pre-Flight Pro. I will talk about that. Job Expert PDF Processing Kit is brand new. TrueBrand, I will talk about that. We're including the Pantone 4 library, which is an additional 294 Pantone colors. And we got some other really exciting stuff under this new, the ability to do spot color overprints, tracking the usage of color profiles. So if somebody wants to know what job was ran with what profile, we can tell somebody that. And then the last one, really the last bullet there, we have decoupled the windows from the Fiery system, and that's going to give us a lot of capability. So I'll talk about that in detail. But this is what's brand new, not what we've enhanced, all right? So if we break it down, starting with the SSD drives, this is what the SSD drive does for us. It's only the boot portion of the Fiery. It's not the portion that runs the print processing, but it is the portion that runs the Fiery system. It's the portion that runs the Windows system. It's a portion that runs the application. So what that gives us is 2 to 3 times faster boot times on the Fiery, faster UI responsiveness. Application launch time is much, much faster now, up to 40%. And we did see a 36% increase in the ability to process and rip files. So much, much, much faster and much more productive with SSD drives. We included our previous pre-flight tool, a Fiery pre-flight tool that you could get with Graphics Arts Premium. All right, so in order to be able to pre-flight a file to see if it's missing fonts, if it's got spot colors included with it that may not be in your library, if you had specific image resolution requirements, image resolution had to be at a certain DPI level in order for it to pass, all those things that you could pre-flight, you used to have to buy Graphics Arts Premium to get those. Well, starting with FS500, that's included now. So your customer who wants the ability to pre-flight and catch these problems before they ever print will now have it in FS500 without buying Graphics Arts Premium, which is great news because you can include a pre-flight preset with hot folders, with a job flow workflow, so it really starts automating a customer's workflow and making sure these PDF files are passing and printing correctly. Now, the reason why we included pre-flight, if you look at the historical availability of this product, again, I mentioned, previous to FS500, you would have had to sold GA-PPE or GA Pro. In the FS500 Pro system, that's the external Windows controllers, it's standard. You can get the Fiery pre-flight with a embedded controller, but you will have to get the automation package in order to get that, okay? So just keep in mind on the Windows controllers, it's in there, no worries. If you got it embedded, you still got to buy the automation package. That brings us to the Pre-Flight Pro. We basically bumped up what pre-flighting could do. Instead of charging for it, we gave you the base for free, and now we're charging for the new enhanced features in Pre-Flight Pro. What this really does is it allows you to now pre-flight that PDF file against an industry standard. So if you've worked in Adobe pre-flight, it's much like Adobe pre-flight, where I could pre-flight it against, a PDF VT standard or an ISO standard or a Grackle standard. I can do those same things now and reduce the amount of steps. Instead of opening the PDF and pre-flighting it with Adobe Pro, I can just go right to my Fiery, bring the file in, pre-flight it from there, and if there's any problems, I'll get a notification on it. Again, you can also combine any pre-flight preset with Fiery Expert or Fiery Job Flow, any automation. The other nice thing about Pre-Flight Pro is it gives you this nice report. And when I click on the image next to the problem area, it shows me, it highlights where the problem is, and it tells you what it was. This was a resolution problem. It was lower than 150 pixels per inch. And that was a setting that I wanted to get alerted to, is if I have an image that's below 150 DPI to warn me. So Pre-Flight Pro is the new tool that would require GA Pro, Graphics Arts Pro. So then brand spanking new in FS500 is the ability to take full advantage, and this is for embedded controllers. So this is your little, non-Windows embedded Fiery controllers. One of the biggest struggles with that controller was it didn't have access to Adobe PDF print engine on all controllers. It was an option. Well, this Job Expert and PDF processing kit is an option, but it's a package that replaces Adobe PDF print engine. And the reason for that is because we found out that, the Adobe PDF print engine fixes a lot of problems with PDF files, but it doesn't fix all of them. And you need Job Expert, which came available in FS400. You need Job Expert with the Adobe PDF print engine to really resolve all PDF design problems that could be printed through a Fiery. And additionally, it provides support for PDF VT 1 and 2. So if a customer is printing PDFs and it's a variable PDF and they've outputted it as PDF VT, having this package will support that. And again, using Job Expert and the Adobe print engine will verify that this file is going to be corrected with whatever it's got in it, RGB overlays, it's got RGB embedded profiles, it's got, composite overprint. All those little factors will be resolved by Job Expert and Adobe PDF print engine, and it'll come out correctly. But you have to add this Fiery Job Expert and PDF processing kit on your embedded controllers in order to get that. All right. So then we've got this really fantastic tool called TrueBrand. Now, this is really for the office environment. One of the biggest struggles in the office environment is no one in the office are print experts, right? They all have a job to do, and occasionally they got to print something, and it's an in-house document, but it's got brand colors that are specific to the company. And they print it on their little color printer, and it never comes out right. I'll argue even with a Fiery, it doesn't come out right. And the reason for that is because typically the documents that are being printed in the office are Microsoft documents, and those are in RGB. And we all know in color that if you convert RGB to CMYK, those aren't the same color spaces. They're going to look different. We've always had a way to correct it, but you had to kind of know color in order to do it. What Fiery TrueBrand is all about is the ability for an office worker not to have to be a color expert, but still match their brand colors. So it's a tool that allows them to launch the document, understand what the RGB color is and what the matching Pantone color is supposed to be, and then they can just put the value inside this tool through the print driver, and it will store that, and it's like mapping. You're mapping the RGB color to the known Pantone output color, and anytime anyone in the office, it's not user to user, anytime anyone in the office now prints a document that matches that RGB color, the Fiery is going to automatically map it to the correct Pantone color, and now their brand color is going to be correct every time for every document for every user. So that's TrueBrand. It only works on an FS500 system, and it really is targeted towards that office and scene markets, not a production print environment product. So here's the Pantone Formula Guide. The latest version will be included in FS500, giving you an additional 294 colors. What we've included in the job log is, if you look to the screen here, when you right click on that column and you click add, you'll see there's an ability to add an output profile column. What this does is allow somebody to go back at jobs and look and see a particular job, what output profile was used to run that job. This could be useful in scenarios where the color didn't print correctly and they're trying to track down why, because they just printed it yesterday and it was fine. They don't really think there was an engine problem or a fiery problem. They just want to look at the job log, and maybe what they're seeing is that somebody used the wrong output profile, which also means they used the wrong calibration set. So this is kind of useful in trying to figure out, is it really a machine problem, a fiery problem, or is it a user operator problem? So spot color overprint, what is it? Well, spot color overprint really is used mostly in packaging and some other design areas. What happens is some designers will use blended colors. So they'll use a spot color with an RGB color, or a spot color with a CMYK color, or an RGB color with a CMYK color, and combine those to make a color. Well, when you print those, they don't necessarily come out as the designer intended. So we've included what we call spot color overprint, and basically what it does is it lets the operator understand, based on what their design was, and here's more of a breakdown. If I was designing in blended colors in CMYK space, I'm probably going to choose standard. If I'm blending in a lab space, then I'm going to choose vivid. And if I was blending in an RGB space, then I'm going to choose natural. So it's a drop-down selection and properties under color input, and it just gives another capability to truly represent the color that was designed in the file. So you should know in the FS500 we're getting very serious and very detailed about security. So therefore, we understand our partners have clients that are very sensitive to this. We've included what we call security audit log in the Windows event viewer. So now if somebody needs to pull a security audit log against the fiery, they can go into the Windows event viewer and they can pull that fiery audit log, and they'll have the information about how the fiery is acting secure-wise on their network. Just some quick tools that we thought was helpful for a lot of people, users, technicians. In every different area where fiery is connected to something and talking to something, we're now going to give a quick alert status about any of these tools that are not online. So that includes web tools, fiery ticker, command workstation. If something is wrong and it's off of line before somebody starts rebooting the fiery and troubleshooting, we're going to give them a little notification to let them know it's not online. So I mentioned earlier that we kind of decoupled the Windows system from the fiery system. And one of the advantages to that now is that it gives us the ability to reinstall fiery with a much faster reinstall time, because we're not installing the Windows system over. It's a separate thing. If we need to reinstall the fiery system, we can do that. We do not have to install the Windows system again. So this really helps in a lot of ways. It increases the speed of install. It gives us the ability to install those separately, and it helps whenever there's a feature upgrade for a fiery system and it's a paid-for feature by the OEM. They don't have to reload the whole system. They just got to load the new fiery system that has the upgraded feature in it, and they're up and running. All right, so that covers the new stuff. Now I want to quickly go through the improvements and enhancements. So we're going to start with color and imaging. The FS500 system is running the Adobe PDF Print Engine 5.5. The reason why that's important is PDF 2.0 is out. There are a lot of things that 2.0 supports, so we needed to be able to support 2.0, so we had to upgrade the engine to 5.5 to do that. Native support for ES3000, we've really already been able to do that. It just didn't show in the list properly. Now it supports everything: Calibrator, Measure, Verify, Spot On, Spot Pro, you name it. It supports everything. We also upgraded our Calibrator. So the built-in Calibrator in Command Workstation now gives us direct access to the G7 grayscale calibrations. So we don't have to guess what our G7 grayscale calibrations look like. Before, when you calibrated, you only saw the CMYK channels. Now you'll see that plus this grayscale calibration. It gives us a lot of capability of switching between measurement modes. And then if you have a licensed version of Color Profiler Suite, you'll be able to do some G7 type stuff right from the calibration and not have to do it from Color Profiler Suite. So Raster Curve Editor is really just been renamed, okay? It used to be you had to have Image Enhanced Visual Editor to edit curves. We changed that in FS400. You now have, as a base, you have Raster Curve Editor. This lets you edit any one of the 4 channels, and you can edit the curves. And it's done right from the properties of a job. And you can save these as a preset default, and you can apply those at the time you're printing a job. So this is really not new. This was in FS400. I think the reason why it was being emphasized here is because we did do a bunch of improvements to Image Enhanced Visual Editor. And so when we did that, we decided to make Raster Curve Editor free. And Image and Visual Enhanced Editor, you would obviously buy GA Pro to get that. So we made a bunch of improvements in Spot Pro. I'm already very excited about Spot Pro, have been since it came out, but we've just kind of tweaked it a little more, right? We simplified the ability to edit in Lab. We've always been able to do that. We separated the color accuracy from the DE column. Just some quick notes on making it easier to do things in here. The big one here is the ability to optimize all spot colors within a group. Before, if you wanted to optimize a color, you'd have to go into the group, pick the color, and optimize that color. Now you can choose between only doing selected colors right here, or as you note here with the red outline, you can choose to optimize all the spot colors in that Pantone library. Now I would suggest you have something besides a handheld spectrophotometer to do that, because that could be a lot of colors, like a scanner of some sort. But the fact is you can still do it. That was a big ask, so we improved that and put that in FS500. And we gave you a report. So when you run optimization, it also comes up giving you a report showing you how each color in that group performed. So here's some other Fiery ImageViewer improvements. Again, we made a bunch of improvements in FS400, so this is another one on top of it. Because of the market that does window cleans, t-shirt transfers, backlit, graphic, any of those things that require the image to be reversed, we just added a little button in here to let you flip it. So as you're making a curve adjustment to the color, you can flip the image and actually see what it's going to look like in the orientation at which it's going to be applied. So I don't know if you saw the note here. This is ideal for engines that support, specialty colors under or over CMYK, such as white. It really gives you a clear view of what it's going to look like. Some other improvements in ImageViewer. We now are allowing you to make curve adjustments for each channel, and you can select all channels, which is what it's showing here, and you can make a curve adjustment, and all channels are adjusted to that curve. But additionally, I don't think I have a screenshot for it, I could select just a particular channel, and I want that particular channel to be different than my all channel adjustment. So you couldn't really do that before, but now you can. All right, some other improvements. This one I'm pretty excited about. I always wondered why we didn't do this. A lot of times when we're going into ImageViewer to make some kind of curve adjustment, or a spot adjustment, or some kind of local color replacement adjustment that came out in FS500, I always wondered why we got this window pane here on the left, and we've got all these pages in this document, and it would be nice if I could reorder these pages, because I realized page 3 and page 4 are in the wrong place. Well, before I couldn't do that. I'd have to close this. I'd have to go back to the original document, fix that, bring it back into the Fiery, and then fix it here, or fix it. Or I'd have to go into Job Master and fix it, and then save that. And so it was just too many steps. So now we've just added that editing capability inside here. So like as they're going through the pages and making color improvements, whatever it is, they can actually reorder the pages, they can duplicate pages, they can delete them, they can move pages between jobs. And then this other example is showing a VDP job where we can preview where the job and the records are. The pages in the job and the records of those pages are now showing in the preview. So that's a big, big improvement. It cuts a step out of the process. If I have to edit, I can edit from here. I do not have to go out. And then some other things, we added the ability to see the X and Y axis, adding a ruler. It kind of gives you, a vantage point, a distance between the image and the page. I think at the bottom here, we give you the actual image resolution that you're working in and the dimensions of the media. So just some quick, helpful page information inside of ImageViewer. So again, you don't have to you can go to properties and look at the file. You can get it from here. All right, so then we're going to go to productivity. We included the PDF print engine as the default interpreter in FS500. And this is only for external servers, so only the Windows controllers. We did that. Previously, we would always tell you not to use it as your default interpreter. And previously, that would have been correct. It does slow down processing. It doesn't have all of the capabilities necessary to make it your default RIP. In the FS500, because we have Job Expert and because the APPE RIP has been redone and it's 5.5 and supports PDF 2.0, we've done testing and found out that leaving it as your default interpreter actually is the best method. It rips just as fast. So it is now on by default. Obviously, somebody can go into the configuration and they can turn that off, but it is defaulted. So Job Expert enhancements, if you've not seen this tool, it's fabulous. If you don't have a controller that's got it, you need to get it. One of the biggest struggles in the industry is the lack of experience of graphic artist designers or even those who do printing. How do they know what's in a PDF and what needs to be turning on or off in a Fiery in order to make it print correctly? Well, that's what Job Expert does. Behind the scenes, it's doing all of that work, so you don't have to know what to turn on or off. It's doing it for you. So we've made some improvements. It was mostly around the report that it provides, kind of like the ImageViewer report. Like the pre-flight report. We're going to show you what was turned on or off. We're going to give you an image you can click on, and it will show you the areas that was being on the sheets that are using those features that we had to fix. The biggest thing here is the Job Expert now supports PDF VT 1 and 2. So again, if somebody's got a PDF VT document, they can run it through Job Expert without affecting the variable. So big improvement. Faster install of monthly updates. We've reworked how the Fiery Command Workstation package works. So now when Command Workstation has to be upgraded to upgrade other components within it, it happens much faster. All right. Easier to manage license. This is just talking about you being able to activate a current license while another one is still being used. It just adds the time to it. And this is specifically speaking about license that may have expiration dates. Okay, those that don't have expiration dates, it doesn't affect this. But it gives you more control if the customer bought term license of 3 years, instead of cutting them off right at 3 years. If they bought another term, they could go ahead and install it and activate it, and it gives them the usage of what's left on their previous one plus what they bought. All right. So real quick, if you have not seen, we have a quick touch panel on the NX Premium and NX Pro Firies, and we're building more and more tools inside of that quick touch. That quick touch screen does not run on the Fiery system, and it does not run on the Windows system. It runs on an Android system. And what that does is that gives us the ability to access certain tools that a customer may need, even if either the Windows system or the Fiery system is not working. So ability to create backups, the ability to restore Fiery from a backup, easier troubleshooting tools built into this, so the technician doesn't have to have a laptop and connect to it. In a lot of cases, the customer can do some of these things without ever having a service come on site. So we're building a lot of things inside the Fiery Quick Touch to make it as easy as possible for our partners to do support for the Firies without having to have a lot of tools or even be on site. Just quick notes here, JDF 1.8 is included in FS500. There are a bunch of new things that come with 1.8. And again, we've updated the API to the latest version. Most of it's around security. So then if you've not heard about EFI IQ, if you've got a Fiery controller, you have access to all of your print data, all of the data analytics about how your printing is happening in your organization on all of your Firies, and you get it for free. As long as you have a Fiery controller, you can go to iq.efi.com and set yourself up with a username and a password and an account and connect your Firies to this cloud, and you'll start getting all of this data that might help you run your organization. It'll tell you a lot of things, how often you're utilizing your engines, what paper you're using, who's printing, what are they printing, when are they printing it, you know, the productivity level. There's a million things. There's a million points of data you can collect. The point here is that we've included an FS500 to make it easy to get connected. It used to be you had to go out and download something. Now you just click on it in Command Workstation. It lets you set up the account. It lets you connect your Firies. It's all done intuitively. No extra work needed. For your Linux-based controllers, the update here is that we're using the latest enhanced security and version of Debian 10. All right. And then you should know that in FS400, we introduced a product called Auto Recovery. And in the FS500, we've also included it, but we've improved it. So this is all about the Fiery trying to make itself healthy. So one of the biggest problems we had in FS400 was that there was no way to notify the user we were doing this. It was kind of hidden, and it created some problems, right? Customer is printing, and then all of a sudden their Fiery won't do anything. And it's not telling them anything, so they just reboot, or they place a service call. We've improved that. Now, when the Fiery detects something's wrong and it believes it has the ability to fix it, it's going to give the customer notification that Fiery recovery is in process. And it's going to go through a healing process. And when it's done, the Fiery is going to be up and running. If it cannot fix it, it's going to pop a message up to the customer letting them know that the only thing that they could do at this point is to place a service call, or they can recover from a backup. And if they say, I have a backup, and they click the button, it'll walk them through how to recover from a backup. So we're doing what we can to make the Fiery stay up and running as long as it can. Included with that, we've included a couple other items that we're going to track in our health monitor. We introduced this health monitor back in Command Workstation 6.3. It's a tool that tracks things in a Fiery that should be paid attention to. And two items that we've added was the disk space on the C drive, because if that gets filled up, there's a problem. And we're now tracking the Windows updates. If the Windows updates are being ignored, that's a security risk. So we're now tracking that as a part of keeping the Fiery healthy. And then some more security updates. I'm not going to go into the details here. Just understand that the FS500 complies with the latest security protocols and standards out of the box. You can still dive into the configuration and change those security settings, but out of the box, we're hitting all the standards that are required by most secure environments. All right, so again, we're pre-configuring these with the most common network protocols and services. And the last thing on this decoupling the Fiery system and the Windows is we are going to allow certain customers who have extremely high security environments that they need to meet. We can allow them to install their own Windows 10 version on the Fiery systems. However, that's not a plug and play. The customer just can't say, oh, here's my disk, let's install it. No. It's going to require EFI professional services. We do have hooks in the Fiery system into the Windows system, and when those are loaded over, it breaks the Fiery. So just understand it's a service, it's a Fiery professional service. You have to contact your SDM, your TSS, or if you have contact with the solution architect, they're the ones who would typically do it. But contact somebody in EFI to help you and your customer with getting that done. All right, real quick, modified and remove functions. 2017 Adobe Pro and InFocus 2019 is no longer available. It is substituted with the 2002 option kit. The great thing about this Adobe Pro Option Kit is it integrates with Impose, Compose, and Job Master for editing pages. Before, you could edit in Adobe. That was always an option in these three things: Impose, Compose, Job Master. Problem is, when you click that button, it bounced you out of the Fiery into Adobe Pro. We're now using the Adobe Pro in the background, and we're doing the editing right inside the application. So that's new. That's the only thing you should see on your price list. This is just telling you we moved the PCL soft fonts that we do support. We moved them out of the RAM. I'm not sure where we moved them to, maybe the hard drive. But the point here is it's included in a backup. It wasn't included in a backup before. All right, so now when a technician or a customer has done a backup of their Fiery, they have a backup of their PCL fonts. Just some notes in here that you can go into configuration and change whether or not you want to preview spool jobs or not. We've changed the control bar area, how much room is taken up on the bottom of the sheet. And then we've given customers the ability to do temporary license enable it. So this enables them to do a one-time temporary activation of an option package if for some reason the EFI licensing service is not available, whether that be because they don't have an internet connection there or the server is down. And it's fixed for 35 days. So, you know, it'll add those 35 days. So let's say you buy it, now you have activation capabilities. You activate your real license. It'll activate your real license and allow you to use how many ever days were fixed on that temporary enablement. All right, so guys, as usual, all of our training stuff is available, or excuse me, all of our sales support stuff is available on EFI Sales Portal. And then, you know, the Learning Center, that's free to everyone, including customers. So when you want to learn about how to do things, you want to learn about features and functions, you know, you can set yourself up a username and a password and start, you know, submitting courses that you can take at your own time and leisure. And, you know, don't forget about the certification program. So, you know, there's some great tools out there. I wanted you guys to at least get the FS500 information. Lots more fun, cool stuff coming. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Thanks. Have a great day.